Carroll, bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
Hello, I'm Phil Catchpole and welcome to Ringing the Blues. On this week's show we have all the action and reaction from the game against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground, plus we cast a statistical eye over the first 11 games with Oily Sailor, aka Duncan Alexander of OPTA. But first, it's time for the results and some vital Spanish vocabulary with Uri in Mexico City.
We are ringing the blues from Mexico City. My name is Uri and here are the results for the Championship League. Reading 0, Stoke City 3, Birmingham City 1, Bournemouth 3, Blackburn Rovers 3, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Brentford 0, Middlesbrough 0, Derby County 0, Barnsley 2, Huddersfield Town 1, Luton Town 1, Norwich City 1, Swansea City 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Wycombe Wanderers 0, Rotherham United 2, Preston North End 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Millwall 0, Watford 3, Coventry City 2. And as for Chairboy Spanish this week, well, have you ever heard of the FA Cup? Well, I'll teach you some things. Magic, magia. Cup, Copa, the magic of the FA Cup, la magia de la FA Cup. You know, the magic of the FA Cup is that a modest team like Marine can beat Colchester. So, Colchester won, Marine won, and Marine win 5-3 on penalties. So, back to England with my amigo Phil Catchpole on the Ringing the Blues studios.
It was the first time Wycombe had played Forest in the league and they headed to the City Ground looking for a third consecutive win in the Championship. Here's what happened.
You're talking about former European Cup winners on Saturday, but in actual fact that's all history now, and it's Wycombe Wanderers going toe to toe, and a Wycombe Wanderers side with plenty of belief at the moment.
Knockhart has it, narrow angle, back to Christie, corner of the penalty area on the right hand side, stands across into the 6-yard box and it's in, and Lyle Taylor ghosts in at the back post and nods into the empty net because Allsop was looking to get across to it, he couldn't get there, and Taylor has a simple task of nodding home from 2 yards from a delicious cross from Christie. Knockhart continues his run, but Josh Knight gets enough on it, but Taylor picks up the loose ball and running towards the edge of the box, still going Taylor, and scores. Great goal from Lyle Taylor. The counter-attack deadly from Nottingham Forest, and Taylor with his second of the afternoon makes it Forest 2, Wycombe 0.
Dobbo, the little run comes to an end, but it was a decent game today.
Yeah, I thought we were very positive in our play today. I thought actually, ironically, it's probably the best that we've handled the ball in possession in the last 3 or 4 games. Some of our interplay was good, bright. We managed to get people in 1v1 positions, crosses into the box and created chances. And I think, I'm not sure what the stats are, but I would say it's probably fairly even overall in terms of the chances created with the two sides. The difference was Lyle Taylor's clinical finishing.
Akifema came on 58 minutes and changed Wycombe's approach. Was it one of those where it's frustrating that he perhaps couldn't start the game?
Yeah, we got to be careful with Bayo, you know, we can't flog him, and after doing 90 the other night, I promised him he'd get a rest this weekend, so, you know, we needed him maybe slightly earlier than I thought we might today, but he's important to us, you know, not just in terms of his physical abilities, but he drives the team on, and I thought he did that superbly well at Birmingham the other night. It certainly helped us cross the line, so even when he's flagging in games, he brings something else to the side and gets another 10% out of the people around him. So to get him on the pitch as early as we could to try and help and bring us a bit of impetus for to find that goal was important to us.
First start for Anis Mehmeti today as well. How do you think he did today?
Really pleased with him. Yeah, I thought it was a really mature performance for someone so young. He's got wonderful ability, lovely spatial awareness. He can pick a pass, and I just love his calmness that he plays the game with. He makes the game look easier. Rolls Royce of a player, and I think he's going to become a really good player in time.
And Gareth McCleary, first appearance for Wycombe. Again, an impressive cameo off the bench.
Yeah, hugely positive. We like him a lot. We think he's going to be a really good player for our club, and he brings that sort of dynamicism, if I can say the word properly, to our play. I thought he worked ever so well down the right-hand side to get crosses in the second half, and it's unfortunate that I think one just missed the far post from Bayo, and a couple of others that keeper's got his hands on. But I like his positivity, I like his drive, and he brings a little bit of pace there.
Couple of weeks now with the international break, the games have been coming thick and fast. A bit of chance to recharge the batteries.
Yes, yeah. Review where we've been the last few games. Sometimes when you're performing well, you don't want the break to come, but it's probably a chance for us to review what we've done well over the last few games, how we've bridged that gap over the last month or two, and try and build on a little bit of momentum that we've gathered, certainly in terms of performances, if not result today.
And injured players gives them a bit more time, I suppose, to get back in that game squad.
Yes, yeah, we've got a B team game this week, so it gives them a chance to play games and to assess where they are. But yeah, obviously the games have come thick and fast. Too many games in too short a space of time, and we're going to go into another period like that coming into Christmas. So these rest periods are really important to make sure that we avoid injuries and get everybody recovered, ready to go again for the next 9 games.
Any updates on Uche Ikpeazu and Dominic Gape?
So Uche unfortunately picks up a bit of an injury in training this week. He was due to start today, and that's changed our thinking, which was a real shame. So we're just assessing him and seeing how long that one's going to take. Dominic Gape's back in training now, so it's good to have him out back on the pitches, and hopefully he'll be close or certainly in contention for the next game.
So potentially a full squad when Brentford come to town.
Yeah, and probably the strongest squad this club's ever had, actually, when you look at the talent that we've brought in now and the players that now can't even make the bench. I think it says a great deal about the progress that's being made at this football club, and we know we're in a scrap at the bottom of the league, but I think there's positive times ahead, and we'll certainly be far better as a club for this experience.
So, Forest backed up their late win against Coventry City by beating our beloved Chairboys. Here's what their fans had to say. Frank Clark's Tash.
I almost forgot that we were allowed to score more than one goal in a game. Wycombe are going to be the division's whipping boys, Derby aside, but at least we dodged this particular banana skin.
Dane B.
Credit where it's due. That was a much better team performance today. I know it's only Wycombe, but we were much improved. Well done, Forest.
Pope John 23rd.
Wycombe are the worst team in the division on paper, but they are plucky and will take points off a lot of sides. It was important for us to give a good performance and to keep a clean sheet.
Jamie Griffiths.
I was impressed with Coventry and Wycombe, who both battled well. But it's great for us to get some momentum and confidence with back-to-back wins going into the international break.
I trust Sabri.
I'm happy that we won in convincing fashion, but we played Wycombe. Now, I know they were on a slight run, beating both Wednesday and the Brummies, but come on, those two opponents are kinda rubbish. Keep it up, Forest, and then I will start believing.
James Morris.
We got the job done. Wycombe looked a decent side, especially with Akinfenwa up top. Best of luck to them.
Waters.
How come a bloke weighing 24 stone that can't jump was winning every header?
Captain Sinister.
With the introduction of Akinfenwa and McCleary, Wycombe did mount a series of attacks. Akinfenwa is a big lumbering beast with his best days behind him, but he showed a lot of class, and with McCleary providing some excellent crosses, he brought a couple of decent saves out of Samba.
MXJ.
I love Bayo Akinfenwa a lot. All smiles and positivity after the game. It must be fantastic to have him in the squad.
Adam 09.
I tell you what, I would have had McCleary back on a free on that performance.
Right, 11 games into Wycombe's first championship season, and what have we noticed in the stats and the patterns? We've all seen the results, but the man who can tell us where the devil in the detail is our very own Oily Sailor, aka Duncan Alexander. Good afternoon, mate. How are you?
Hi, Phil. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Very well indeed, very well. Right, the games then. Wycombe, I think we could all agree, started slowly in the championship, but have been sort of putting it together recently, not just in terms of results, but the performances have been coming as well. What have you noticed around Wycombe's upturn in results, that 3-game run? Is there anything from the stats?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first few weeks of the season were obviously a bit of a learning curve and a difficult step up. And you look at the first game was strange because obviously, lost to Rotherham, but it should have won. I mean, that's Wycombe's biggest kind of domination of a game this season in terms of expected goals and the same at the other end. So that really is 3 points lost. But then obviously the Blackburn and Swansea games, the numbers look pretty bad for that. I mean, Wycombe conceded over 3 expected goals in each game. And for anyone that's not 100% what expected goals it's just a rating of chance quality. So a really good chance would be almost up at 1 goal. Like a penalty is like 78% chance. So if you're giving up chances worth 3.5 and 3.4 like they did against Blackburn and Swansea, you're going to get beaten. And lo and behold, they did. Even the Luton and Millwall games, it was still over 2. But since then, the defence has been really good. It's less than 1 against Reading, less than 1 against Watford, less than 1 against Sheffield Wednesday, and around 1 against Birmingham, and then around 2, just under 2 for Norwich away and Forest away, which isn't perfect, but is kind of what you would imagine going away to clubs with their resources. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, going forward is still a difficult, work in progress, I guess. But the key thing for me is that defences keep you up really, and there is really positive signs in that area.
Where's the improvement come from? Is it just that the players have kind of got used to the pace and the rigours of Championship football? Yeah,
possibly. I mean, we've seen it before. We saw it with Luton last season. They started really badly and slowly got to grips with it. It is a very, I would argue that the gap between League One and the Championship is possibly the biggest gap in the 4 divisions because really you're going up. A lot of teams like Rotherham or Wycombe who come up don't have massive resources, and they're being pitched against clubs who a lot of them have as many resources as Premier League teams. So yeah, I mean it has been a case. I think obviously the partnership between Stuart and Josh Knight has really developed. They're both capable of creating chances going forwards as well, which I think is quite key. And they just look calmer. I mean, people watch the recent games, and there's less panic. I think the first few games, every time the defence got it, they were kind of trying to get rid of it pretty quickly. But you can see that in things like the pass completion rates are slowly, steadily going up. Wycombe had 61% against Forest. Compare that to 37% against Rotherham, which is possibly the lowest I've ever seen for anyone, I think.
Wow. So in terms of scoring goals and getting points, everyone would have noticed that the 7 points that Wycombe have gained so far this season have all come from games that Adebayo Akinfenwa has started. I mean, this isn't new for Wycombe. This happened in League 2 and it's happened in League 1. and it's looking like it's going to happen in the Championship as well. But what have you noticed about the big man?
Well, you can actually split the season into time when he's on the pitch and when he's not. He's been on the pitch about 361 minutes and off it for 712. Wycombe scored 2 goals in the 712 minutes that he hasn't been on the pitch, compared to 4 when he has. And goals per 90 when he plays is 1 a game and 0.7 conceded. That'll get you mid-table. When he's not there, it's 0.3 scored and 2 conceded. That is, relegation battle. So, it seems almost outlandish that a 38-year-old man playing his first season in the Championship could be so pivotal. But I mean, every Wycombe fan knows how amazing he's been for the last few years, and all the questions about could he step up and do it in League One, and now could he do it in the Championship? Well, here's your answer. He's been incredible. So. That's really positive. The only negative is that he is 38, and the rigours of a Championship season could take their toll. But I'm sure Bayo knows how to stay fit.
And Uche Ikpeazu was brought in, I think, to give another option in terms of big target man who could hold the ball up. He's not really hitting the ground running at all. He keeps picking up injuries. That's really going to hamper Wycombe. It hampered them yesterday because he was due to start. He couldn't because of his injury, and then Akinfenwa was only limited to a second half performance. I think the stats would back this up as well. Had Akinfenwa started against Nottingham Forest, it may well have been a different result. Yeah,
I think so. I think they'd have got a draw probably. But I mean, even if you look at the numbers from the game yesterday, Wycombe had more shots on target than Forest. So it wasn't like Forest just strolled around and comfortably won. It wasn't a kind of as positive a result as recently. But I think the signs of improvement that have been there were still evident, I think. And you're right, I think that is a concern, that Ikpeazu is not, hit the ground running. But, the season is young and it is long. There's some weird trends, actually, if you look at it generally. Wycombe's expected goals total is about 10.6 across all their games this season. The average this season in the Championship was 13.5, so they're not far below average. There's 3 teams below us, actually. There's Derby, who really are rock bottom, 7.6. That is really bad, particularly for a club with their resources and etc. Then Sheffield Wednesday, and then Reading. So Reading have actually, on expected goals, created fewer good opportunities than Wycombe this season, yet have been top, still are top, but it did seem like it wasn't very sustainable, and we might now be seeing that come to fruition as they start to lose some games.
They always say 10 games into a season is when the table really starts to make sense. But, here we are 11 games in. Reading perhaps being found out a little bit. Is Wycombe's a false position? I mean, Richard Dobson said Forest was definitely a false position for a club of their stature and players on their roster. Is Wycombe's, can they say it's been a bit unlucky? I know they've had a few refereeing decisions go against them, but is it a false position?
Yeah, well, I think most people would have taken third from bottom after 11 games, 1 point from safety. That's given, especially given how we started. Because we've been looking to go up last season, and then obviously 3 seasons ago from League Two. I think people kind of forget sometimes that if you're trying to stay up, you don't actually need to win that many games. So you can lose a couple. And it doesn't really throw you off the pace like it would if you were chasing the playoff places or promotion. So, there is a slight gap now between Coventry and Forest, 4 points. But you look above them and, Rotherham, Barnsley, Birmingham, Cardiff, that none of them are kind of pulling up trees, really. I don't think, the idea that Wycombe were going to just be left, bereft, adrift at the bottom of the table, isn't going to play out. I mean, obviously the big surprise is Derby struggling so much, and that could change imminently, both on and off the pitch. But there's, I don't think Wycombe are feeling outclassed anymore. And yet, I'm pretty certain it will be a relegation battle that goes right to the end of the season. But I'm pretty confident we've got what it takes to stay up. If Luton can do it, then so can we.
Is there anything else, sort of stats-wise, that you've noticed that is of note for Wycombe fans who are looking for hope going out the back of this second international break? If
you look at the chances created for Wycombe this season, Joe Jacobson, obviously 17 from set pieces. I don't think that's a shot to anyone. 1 from Jack Grimmer, and that's it, I think, from set plays. But if you look at chances created from open play, it's a lot more spread around. You got 9 from Daryl Horgan, 5 from Bay already, 5 from Scott Cashgett, 5 from Josh Knight, 5 from Jack Grimmer, 5 from Joe Jacobson, and then 4 from David Wheeler and 4 from Curtis Thompson, and then quite a lot of other players chipping in with 2s and 1s. So, that's pretty positive as well. We're not, even big Premier League teams, some of them rely very heavily on 1 or 2 players to create their chances, and if they go missing or get injured, then that has a big effect. But I think what we've seen this season is, yes, we kind of do need Bayo up there to allow the others to play, but if that is the case, we've got a myriad of players who can do that. The signings like Horgan and it really has made a big impact. I think we're not kind of just reliant on one or 2 players to create chances, and that's really important going forward.
Do you think some of our opponents, I get asked this on a lot of other clubs' podcasts in the Championship, that they expect Wycombe to sort of roll over and have their tummies tickled, and also just long balls into the box and set-piece goals? There is more to Wycombe than this, isn't there?
Yeah, we saw it in the playoffs. I think that first half display at Fleetwood was some of the best kind of high pressing, effective kind of modern Klopp-like football, if you like, I've seen ever from a Wycombe team, and you see it in flashes this season. In fact, if you look at something called high turnovers, which is basically winning the ball from the opposition in their defensive third, essentially. Which is something that like Liverpool, Leeds under Bielsa, Man City kind of specialise in. Wycombe are a third in the Championship so far for that. Barnsley and Blackburn are above us. And that's really impressive. And the only thing is we haven't really converted that into goals so far. So that's obviously something that I'm sure the coaching staff will be looking to do. And, we've got the ability to press teams incredibly fit, can win the ball back, and then it's kind of taking advantage of that and turn it into goals and results. But again, these are all kind of underlying numbers that don't point to a team that is kind of just desperately trying to hang on to their status, but have got a really kind of well-defined game plan that hopefully will result in what we all want.
We can't get you on and not talk about the tradition. Progress sometimes eclipses tradition. This weekend has been the FA Cup first round weekend, which is normally a time where you kind of get your quill and a pot of ink out and compose a delightful FA Cup first round poem, but no poem this year because Wycombe aren't in it till the third round, which is a fantastic bit of progress. But what happens to the poem?
That's fine, don't worry about the poem, it just gets shunted to the third round. I think 1 or 2 of the seasons I did do an additional one for big third round ties, so there was always a third round option, but when we draw Peterborough in the third round, I'm sure I'll try and find some inspiration around that. So.
There's not much out there really, is there?
I can't think of much, no. No. What's the animal on our badge again? Oh yeah, that's right.
Right, that's your lot for this week. Enjoy the international break. I'm off to look at pictures of speedboats on the internet, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Come on, you Blues.